Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
A few sprinkles for some as we work into our Wednesday evening, but for the most part, dry across North Mississippi. I'm meteorologist Gabe. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6, where again we are tracking the doom and gloom of what is a cloudy forecast moving forward. Our chief meteorologist Matt Lobhan joining us in just a few moments, live from New Albany, walking us through this forecast in real time and the positives from it that he got to enjoy with his kids earlier this evening. We're also going to walk through those limited rain chances overnight, track out where those showers are expected to occur, and of course those better chances on the horizon moving into Thursday and Friday. So have that rain gear ready, and if your team is still in playoff action for high school football, have that rain gear ready for then as well. First 12 showcases a mostly dry forecast, only about a 10% chance by 68 degrees, dropping into the low 60s for the start of our Thursday morning. Could be a foggy start in a few locations, but there is going to be moisture in that forecast for sure. And that's one of the many highlights we're talking about with this forecast. Joined alongside Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhan. Matt, you've been in the elements this evening, breaking a sweat even in November, which I think is almost a record.
Man, you know, that's overselling things a little bit. In the elements, it's been a pretty nice day, and we're down in downtown New Albany here. We were on the Tanglefoot Trail earlier, trying to enjoy one of these beautiful, warm sort of days. We don't just get a ton of these this time of year, and so it was nice to actually have one of those. A couple reasons we're here in New Albany. Number one, it was a beautiful day. Number two, it's a beautiful town, and number three, I want to tell you about something we're going to be doing during the holiday season. You can see some of the lights behind us here. We're going to be going around to different parades. Not every one. There's a lot of parades in North Mississippi, but we're going to be pairing up with MLM to showcase parades during this Christmas parade season, go out and talk to you guys and just kind of see what your different towns have to offer as far as the Christmas parades are concerned. New Albany, by the way, is going to be coming up on the 1st of December. I think we might actually end up being in Boonville that night there at 6 o'clock. At 6:30, of course, the Christmas parade here in the New Albany area. You can hear a train behind me there, so I might end up having to pop in the earpieces for a second. But as you can check out, that temperature coming in 71 degrees at this instant. Feels like 70, down a little bit from last hour, but not by a lot. So as we check out the latest there again, as far as Mississippi Live Weather Radar is concerned, we'll do temperatures first here, low 70s, mid 70s, but again, all these way above the low 60s we should be as far as high temperatures are concerned for this point in November, you know, the week before Thanksgiving. So here's Mississippi Live Weather Radar, just bugs and things like that, no significant precipitation. If we were to slide that to the north, rain chances do get a little better up into Tennessee. And really, as we look into the next couple of days, this is going to be one of the focal points. A front from the north that could try to bring us some isolated showers and maybe a more substantial chance as we look into Friday with another boundary coming in from the west. So as we look at that hour-by-hour forecast this evening, again, we are dry and we are clear with temperatures upper 60s at 7, mid 60s as we look toward 9, and even toward 11 o'clock. Again, way above our high temperature, even as we get approaching midnight there. But Gabe, again, we're here in New Albany, and we'll be looking in more detail. You, of course, are looking at some of those rain chances, in particular looking toward Friday's chances and how that could interact with the football games. Obviously, our Mississippi Live Game of the Week is going to be between West Point and Pontotoc in West Point. Hoping that game is dry. Gabe, looking at a forecast, of course, you'll have that coming up for us here in a couple minutes. But from the New Albany area, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhan for Mississippi Live Weather. There's that front behind you there, a stationary front. And important because they just don't move, right? And so that makes wherever they line up the most likely spot.
Exactly, and so that's why we expect rain chances to be in the forecast for tonight. Just not exactly going to be widespread. Matt, thank you so much, and I hope you had a good time out there on the Tanglefoot. Tell Penny and Leo hey from all of us here in North Mississippi. All right, as we keep that forecast going here from the Room to Room Weather Center, Matt mentioned it. It's going to be this stationary front remaining right over the top of North Mississippi, stalling out, but giving that ever so slight chance of a few showers overnight and into the start of our Thursday. My wife, she's teaching about weather in 7th grade science right now, so any of the students watching, listen up because this is going to be on one of these tests coming up. But they're talking about fronts and the different characteristics that are seen with each front. And so it was kind of a nice little throwback to my weather and climate days, learning about all the characteristics associated with it. And of course, one of the big factors with the stationary front was just very little movement. And we're going to experience exactly that as we get overnight. As you can see right here on our future futurecast, that'll start to shift a little bit more there towards the north, giving those chances of rainfall right along the Tennessee state line. So let's expand things out here real quick, and you can see that line of showers extend into Oklahoma City, Fayetteville, Paragould, and all the way into the Corinth area. As we keep that futurecast going into those overnight hours, I mean, we are talking as slow as North Gloucester traffic on Christmas Day. That's how fast this thing is going, and we expect it to continue to be that way into the start of our Thursday. But then it starts to shift into a warm front. That's a result of this frontal system kind of taking over that boundary, giving us significant chances out there towards Texas, but really increased chances for North Mississippi by Thursday afternoon and by our Friday. Fortunately, timing could be worse for Friday, but still going to be impactful for some across North Mississippi as all these rain chances work their way into the region. So yeah, have that rain gear ready. You're going to definitely be glad you did as you get into the latter part of our work week. Now, as we take a look at the next 24, again, it is going to be those limited chances of rainfall for our Thursday. I bumped it back to about 20% because that line that we've been talking about, that boundary, is shifting a little bit more towards the north, taking those rain chances with it. So we do have the potential to see a few showers, even a few rumbles of thunder, not exactly out of the question, but the best chance is still further north and further out there towards the west in Texas. But those chances do linger throughout the day, so have that rain gear ready with that sporadic development. You just never know when it's going to develop over the top of you, so better to be on the safe side, whether that's for that commute to work or from work. We want you guys to stay dry. Now, temperature-wise, starting in the low 60s, but getting back into the upper 70s with a few low 80s possible. We were close to some record-setting potential with the high temperatures today. We'll look at that forecast coming up in more detail whenever those records are fully set tonight at 10, so stay tuned for that. But coming up here in the next 60, we're talking football. Specifically playoff football, specifically SEC football. Lots to look forward to heading into this weekend, and we are in that home stretch as we wrap up the work week. We'll have a look at those football forecasts here from the Room to Room Weather Center, as well as the latest tracking on those showers over the next couple of days. Where you want to be to stay dry, we'll see that here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6, live from the Room to Room Weather Center in the next 60.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog, but she's little.
Do you have any unlocked guns around the house?
We do have a gun, but it's stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access. We appreciate you asking.
Yeah, of course.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
We were getting a look at the sights and the Christmas lights over there in New Albany. Now a great shot out of Tupelo showcasing that night sky. I mean, this is a very pitch black night sky, my word. It looks like nightfall's definitely setting in. 72 degrees though. Usually we expect those temperatures to cool off as we get into those overnight hours. Not happening just yet. Not really expected to cool off too much as we get into the start of our Thursday. So shorts, t-shirts, keep them around for at least one more day. Our reporting station is down in Oxford, but a great shot out there in Lafayette County showcasing a lot of those dry but cloudy skies. Continue to expect that into those overnight hours. And I know the reporting station is down, but I can tell you it's warm. Definitely above average for this time of year. 73 in Columbus. As you take a look there on Highway 45, traffic starting to build up just a bit. Definitely not envious of those drivers, but hopefully a good bit of them are heading to those midweek services this week. If they're not, maybe heading out to dinner plans, and they're going to be enjoying a great forecast for that. Yes, it's cloudy, but not exactly a rainy forecast, as development very minimal, and development honestly kind of isolated to a few select locations. As we work our way north, that's where we're tracking those first round of showers. My favorite weather watcher, of course I am biased, my wife, told me that on her way home from work she had a few sprinkles right along the Guntown area along Highway 45. Well, I verified exactly that around that 5:45 hour, and now as we work into the 6 o'clock hour, you can see we do have some development still sitting around that Highway 45 region. Now, Is any of this making it to the ground? That's the golden question. This is not exactly an elevated storm, not one that has a ton of lift, and that's not exactly one that we're overly concerned with. Now, as we shift radar sites up there towards the Memphis radar site, we can see that we do have, oh, it might not be, let me make sure that's up. So we're getting a little bit of those showers out there towards Somerville and Oakland. So as we continue with that forecast into those overnight hours, you can see how this has trended over the last hour or so. Just that sporadic development continuing to develop there towards Moscow, Tennessee, and Collierville. That could go a little bit south there into Tippah and Alcorn County, but not exactly going to be widespread there either. Just a few lucky folks getting some much needed rainfall. Now, as we take it forward, you can see the rainfall that we have gotten over the past couple of hours, or past 24 hours, I should say. Looking at those rainfall totals, a well distribution up there around the Boonville area. As we highlight in a few of those totals, we're talking upwards, or just under an inch, should I say. Corinth, same thing, just under an inch. And as we work our way over there towards Ripley, getting about a quarter of an inch. Holly Springs, quarter of an inch as well. Iuka, close to about an inch. So this was a result of some showers that worked their way through the area overnight and into this morning. Whenever we're looking at those totals right now or over the past 3 hours, you have to go well into Tennessee to get any rainfall outputs. And even those, not exactly the highest measurement. We're talking couple hundredths of an inch there towards the Somerville area. Millington, same thing, couple hundredths of an inch out there towards the Memphis area. So not significant. And that's the theme as we get into this overnight forecast. These rain chances not going to be overly high. The more inclement threat for some heavy rainfall as well as some strong storms still out there towards Texas as that frontal system continues to develop and mature. Level 1 threat in place for Dallas, Waco, and Lubbock, as well as far north as Oklahoma City. But as we track it into Thursday, as that frontal system progresses towards the east, you can see it does get into that Fayetteville and Fort Smith area in Arkansas, Dallas, Texas, Austin, Texas, but not really extending past that point. Our Friday severe weather threat is non-existent. We're not expecting severe weather. We'll go over that in more detail coming up here in a couple of minutes, but that is one of the things we're grateful for in this forecast is the fact that we're not dealing with severe weather, but we are still getting rainfall to hopefully alleviate what's left of those drought conditions. Now this evening, not exactly a drought buster, 10% chances by 6, by 8 o'clock, 67 degrees and mostly dry conditions, and 65 by 10. Some patchy fog moving into the forecast, and that's what we're paying attention to for our morning commute. Not exactly what's up in the sky, it's going to be what's happening on the ground, and that patchy, dense fog for a few select locations may require those low beams on our morning commute. Now, we do see this stationary front right over the top of North Mississippi getting into that 7 o'clock hour, and there's where that development takes place. Again, these showers currently in the Memphis and Collierville area. As they extend further towards the east, we could see it there towards Tippah and Alcorn County. It's not exactly going to be widespread or really significant at that. That front gradually lifts towards the north overnight, and by 10 p.m., a lot of these rain chances trending north as well. So rain chances here in North Mississippi going to be hard to come by, but that's a good thing because if you have any plans this evening, we want it to be dry, of course. So getting into those early AM hours on our Thursday, you can see rain chances pretty much non-existent well into Jackson, Tennessee, and around the Batesville area into Arkansas. Not going to be here in North Mississippi. And as that front lifts further towards the north, taking those rain chances with it, but then things start to shift, and that's going to shift early into our Thursday. As you can see, our frontal system bringing in a large portion of showers and storms out there towards Texas, but inching into that eastern Arkansas area, giving us the potential of a few showers and potentially storms getting into our Thursday as well. Now, low temperatures, this forecast just unbelievable when it comes to how warm things are outside. 62 degrees in Amory, 59 in Corinth, 65 Clarksdale, and 65 around Greenville. It's a toasty one for sure, so make sure to dress accordingly, I should say, because it's not exactly a forecast that's going to have some cool conditions, to say the least. 63 degrees towards drop-off. May need one layer for some of those cold-natured folks out there, but by 75 by lunch, reaching 75 degrees, definitely not necessary to have those long sleeves ready. 79 final bell, maybe a degree or two back from what we experienced today, but still well above average for this time of year. 20% chances during those lunch plans, and the rest of the time about a 10% to 20% chance throughout the rest of our school day. So yes, have that rain gear ready, but don't really be expecting that rainfall to take place where you're at. As we keep that forecast going, you see this warm front lifting into the region, that leading edge of that frontal boundary. As we get further into our Thursday forecast, forecast, you can see showers already moving in towards the Delta west of I-55. A few of those having some heavier outputs out there towards the Tunica area. But as we get into that late morning and early afternoon, you can see how those chances really start to build once again into that noon hour with some of the heavier outputs out there towards Olive Branch, Holly Springs, and Collierville by noontime on Thursday. Let's keep that forecast going and into the afternoon. And as you can see, a large part of these rain chances carrying well towards the north. So this isn't exactly going to be a significant rain producer. It's just going to see some isolated heavy rainfall in a few select locations. I mean, definitely not comparable to what they're getting in Sikeston, Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, and Bowling Green, Kentucky. Let's keep that going into the afternoon. We could see some redevelopment along that frontal boundary by the time we get towards that mid-afternoon time frame. Some of the heavier spots that we do note is around the New Albany area, further south there towards Grenada and Yazoo City, that line right there, right along I-55. We keep that forecast going, pushing a large portion of these rain chances out, but then we enter the warm sector, the area behind the warm front that does initiate some showers if there's enough daytime heating that could produce additional chances into our Thursday late afternoon and early evening time frame. High temperatures, they'll be warm enough for sure, close to record setting as we get into that Thursday forecast. That record set in 1942 like we've been talking about at 80 degrees. Tupelo expected to be at 79 for our afternoon high temperatures, 81 in Bruce, 81 Greenwood, and 79 around Clarksdale, with 76 Tunica and 73 around South Haven. Let's keep that forecast going into our Thursday night. And as you can see right here, we are going to see that frontal boundary push a little bit more into our area. Dry for the start of our evening, but as we work into those overnight hours, expecting those rain chances to really ramp up really by the AM hours of our Friday. You see those chances primarily scattered and primarily out there towards the northwest by 3 a.m., but that will build in over time with some heavier portions all the way from Grenada to Greenwood to Yazoo City, this northeast to southwest oriented line, even into Lee County, getting a few rumbles of thunder as well, 6 a.m. on your Friday. So we keep that forecast going. That line does push further into Alabama, but those chances still remain with some heavier output south of 82 by 9 a.m., primarily right in the heart of Louisville. So expecting that, it's a forecast that could vary in the areas that are going to be impacted, but it is showing some decent rainfall outputs, and that's what we expect it to be as we get into that extended pattern. So have that rain gear ready. Make sure to have that umbrella in the back seat because it's definitely a forecast you don't want to be surprised by as you get into those afternoon plants. Now, by 3 p.m. in the afternoon, still those chances lingering around that southeast portion of our viewing area from Pickens County all the way into Kosciuszko and Natala County. That's going to be the heaviest outputs, but some light showers are getting into Calhoun County, Lafayette County, and Pontotoc County. Further into our evening, that's when a large part of these rain chances do push out there towards Birmingham, and really our chances become much more diminished. The good thing about these rain chances, it's primarily going to be an AM threat with isolated chances by the PM hours of our Friday. So it looks like things will be good to go for those game day forecasts, at least for the most part. You could see an occasional shower or thunderstorm across North Mississippi, but not going to be widespread impacts as that. Cold front does move into the area as we get into Saturday, and that's where we do have that 20% chance of getting into our Saturday morning. Some of that lingering moisture in the forecast and some decent outputs as well with a few of those showers. Now, when this front pushes through will be a big defining factor of that time frame, so we are paying attention to that behind the scenes, but we expect most football games to be over. Hopefully, we're not talking overtime at 1 a.m. If you're like me, you want to go to bed at some point. So 1 a.m. football game on Friday night, yeah, not for me. But that forecast definitely showcasing additional rain chances. So keep that rain gear ready just in case that front does speed up just a bit, and then it could impact a few more of our football games. Now that was our strike model. We'll have our HRRR model, another short range model coming out tonight at 10. Highly recommend you guys join us to track that in latest detail because it does give us more information on where the positioning of that front needs to be and where the positioning of some of those prefrontal storms need to be as well. High temperatures by Friday starting to trend back just a bit. That moisture doing its job and clearing out a lot of that heat. Now I say that, it's still well above average for this time of year, as our average is usually 62 degrees, but it is not the 80s, and we'll take that. 74 in Tupelo, 73 Corinth, 73 in Holly Springs, and 76 down around Grenada, 74 Louisville, and 75 there towards Macon. It is going to be a warm one for sure, but at least we're trending in the right direction. Now your high school game of the week forecast, I did not change this out. Bear with me behind the scenes. I'm going to skip these out. I was editing a couple graphics, so that one, of course, that was for tonight. As we get into the extended pattern, this looks a lot more like what we can expect. I do want to say, and Matt mentioned it at 5 o'clock, a little bit high on those rain chances for our Friday night, but at least I would say scattered chances in the forecast for sure. I don't think we get all the way up to 60%, but 30 to 40% I would say is a good bet for our high school games that evening. 70 degrees pregame, down to 68 towards that final snap. Not much change. And yes, I will be in shorts once again heading into this Friday night, rain or shine, because that's just my Friday night football outfit. What can I say? And SEC football forecast, don't want to leave them out. Our Ole Miss Rebels and Mississippi State Bulldogs on bye this week before the Egg Bowl next week. But it is still our Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the Eastern Illinois. Should have looked up their mascot before the show. I'll remember it by 10. But that forecast, 79 degrees first play, same thing around halftime, and 72 by that final snap. That kickoff is going to be 1 p.m. on our Saturday. 79 degrees, that is a toasty forecast in Bryant-Denny for this time of year, but it should be the Tide should remain hot on the football field as well, as they are taking on Eastern Illinois. And, I'm not a betting man, but I would definitely put all my money on the Crimson Tide in this matchup for sure, taking care of business. And I believe this is their senior night, so wanting to end on a high note for sure. 10 to 20% chances are in the forecast as we go about the game, so maybe some of that lingering moisture affecting some of that game time forecast, but not going to be overly high on those rain chances, and that's a good thing with that forecast. 63 degrees by 7 a.m., 77 by noon, and we're topping out around 79 degrees for our Thursday afternoon. 20% chances what I have right now for our Thursday. Depending on how things trend towards the 10 o'clock hour, I feel pretty confident that that's going to continue to remain in place. But as we get into the extended pattern, Friday's forecast definitely one we're monitoring for the potential for some fluctuation in that percentage. And Saturday, 20% as well. Feel good about that with some lingering moisture. Sunday, our dry day over the next 7 days. So get out there and enjoy the latter part of our weekend, a good time to enjoy some plans outside. And then Monday and Tuesday, rain chances do return with the frontal system. This going to be a Monday night type system, but still, as Matt was mentioning with the models, not exactly in alignment still with our threat come early next week. So that's a forecast that we expect to change even more as we get into the next couple of days. So keeping eyes on that behind the scenes, but we do expect at least a few showers and thunderstorms as we start next week, or our Thanksgiving week off. All right, coming up in the next 60, what are we going to be tracking? Well, we'll be looking at, similar to what we saw yesterday at 6, kind of that energy with our short-range models, how those are lining up and what we're expecting here in North Mississippi whenever it comes to some of those, I'm not going to say severe weather parameters or strong weather parameters, as we aren't expecting severe weather, but, could we get some thunderstorm activity? We'll look at that in more detail live from the Room Term Weather Center here in the next 60.
Hi, my name is Rosie. Regional Rehab Center helps kids like me by offering speech therapy, occupational therapy, and dyslexia therapy. Your support helps so many of us get what we need to grow and succeed. Please help the Rehab Center.
Hate is loud, but love is the majority.
The bravest thing that my dad has done has been going back to school.
It wasn't when he first enlisted, it was when he found his first support group.
The bravest thing she did is when she asked for help.
All right, welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm going to bring you guys in here to what we're tracking across North Mississippi, getting into that extended pattern. This, of course, looking at our HRRR model, one of our short-range models. Looked at strike earlier on today, and let's go ahead and assess what we're going to be seeing. So overnight tonight, not expecting much development as a lot of that isolated activity remaining up there towards Tennessee, and then shifting more towards that warm front that develops out there towards Arkansas and southeast portions of Oklahoma. Now that does build into our region, but look at where those rain chances go, and we're going to kind of go back and forth on that 9 a.m. hour into that noon hour. We're going well north of us, going in that northeast path, basically following up into that warm front. Although the warm front is, of course, being drawn by our surface analysis right here, we really expect it to be a little bit more north on the ground up there around Kansas and Missouri. So kind of a misinterpretation on what the surface analysis is showing us to what's actually taking place on the ground. So I would expect that front to extend well into the boot heel of Missouri and into the southern part of Kansas. So that's, of course, taking a large part of our moisture up there with it. If you look earlier on, you can see how that's really where things sit right now as that frontal boundary has shifted. And so we're not expecting too much of anything in the area. That's why chances are only about 20%. If we zoom it back in here to North Mississippi, you can see the very little extent that we're going to get in that moisture. And still, even then, chances going to be northwest Mississippi for at least the first half of the day. Now, getting into the latter half, you can see how those chances do build into the area, that front pushing a little bit more towards the east, and then we could get a little bit of that development with some of that moisture, as well as that lifting mechanism with that frontal boundary that could give us a few showers and storms by our Thursday afternoon. This is where you could up those percentages to maybe 30% by 3 to 6 o'clock, but even then, not exactly sold on it, especially with how bad models have been here recently. As we continue that forecast going into your Thursday night, rain chances, at least that first leading edge, clearing on out, and then when this frontal system starts to inch a little bit more towards the east. That cold front going to be the big driver in this forecast, as you can see behind me right there, and this line all the way from eastern Oklahoma down there towards eastern Texas, pushing further into North Mississippi, and that's where it'll cross into North Mississippi by the time we get into our Friday morning. So you can get a good look right there. This is Friday, 4:30 a.m. Let's drag that out into 5 and 6 o'clock. Widespread showers, even a few rumbles of thunder expected, but not exactly expecting severe weather. Potential for a few strong storms down there towards the south. I might have broken it. There we go. The potential for a few strong storms down there towards the south, but I don't think that lifts enough north to give us any inclement weather. We do continue to see some decent rainfall outputs by the time we get towards late Friday morning and into early Friday afternoon. So any of those football games, be glad they're not in the morning because the forecast isn't shaping up to be anything too spectacular, but definitely keeping eyes behind the scenes on that forecast because that is a forecast that could change depending on where that front sets up. All right, now I'm going to bring in a product that's going to be an overlay on top of those rain chances we just saw. And we're going to talk about energy, and the energy being shown by those reds and yellows. Yellow, a little bit more indicative of some stronger energy, and that's going to allow for some more strong storm development to take place. So severe weather risk. We talked about it at the top of the show. It's out there in Texas, and look at the difference in the energy. We're seeing barely any red in North Mississippi, and then we really get into those yellows and oranges all the way out there in Texas. So no surprise why the marginal risk is in place out there towards the west. And that's really where things will sit into the next couple of hours as well into our Wednesday night and Thursday morning. You can see those bright yellows still getting some strong returns out there in Texas, and that's where things will sit at the midnight hour of our Wednesday night. As we keep that forecast going into our Thursday morning, that line working its way through. Again, this is going to be that cold front moving across the area, pushing those rain chances further towards the east. But again, not as much energy as what was taking place earlier on our Wednesday evening and Wednesday overnight hours. Energy still in place in North Mississippi. That's where the potential for a few showers to develop is in place, but it's going to have to take up what little energy there is. By the time it does, leaving us with not much left. So if anything, that warm front giving us a few showers is a good thing because it stabilizes that atmosphere out just a bit and limits how much of that energy will be in place by the afternoon. So not going to see much in regards to energy for our forecast Thursday, and still that high energy output going to be out there towards southern Texas and well into eastern sections of Oklahoma by Thursday night. So hence why there's that marginal risk out there towards the west for central parts of Arkansas, all the way down there into southern Texas, not North Mississippi. And this energy continues to define that forecast. As you can see right here, that tongue of moisture building into the area for our Friday morning. That's where we could get some of these storms to develop over the top of us. And you're seeing that in the background just a bit right behind. I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but right there along the state line of Louisiana and Arkansas, there along Mississippi. I guess I could have said the Mississippi River, but right there. And as we get into that mid-morning forecast, those building in. But again, look at the energy differential. Down at the coast, high outputs of CAPE, high outputs of energy. Up here in North Mississippi, we're limited. And as we saw yesterday, that limited amount of energy doesn't exactly do much in regards to those storms developing or at least continuing to stay strong over our area. So not much energy continues to be the case by mid-morning. And as we build further into the afternoon, it destabilizes the atmosphere just a bit, but by then, what's left? Like a lot of those showers will work to stabilize our environment, and that's going to be that leading edge that we're watching for some stronger storms. But beyond that, that's really where chances kind of go go out the window. Rain chances at that. So that's where we're tracking a slightly drier forecast to wrap up our Friday. And fortunately, that energy going to be clearing out with those storms as they work their way towards the east. So I think we're shaping up pretty good for our Thursday and for our Friday, so make sure to keep it here for the very latest. Of course, we'll update you if that does change, but that has been a consistent pattern over the past few days, and we expect that to continue into the latter part of our work week. Now, we are still talking about rain chances, and tonight staying mostly dry. So this is basically the calm before the showers. Are we going to call it that? That's what we're going to say tonight. 67 degrees by 8, 65 by 10, and 64 by midnight. That's where some fog could work its way back into the region, and patchy fog expected for that morning commute. Our meteorologist Maggie McCauley will have the latest on that forecast and letting folks know who needs the low beams on as they head into work and school tomorrow morning. Now go ahead and download that Mississippi Live weather app. Of course, Maggie will be on the app talking to you guys about that forecast, but it also lets you know those hazards well in advance. If there's rain approaching the area, storms, severe weather, anything, we'll keep you updated on that forecast through the alerts on the Mississippi Live weather app. And it also does have our broadcast schedule. Like I mentioned, Maggie's going to be on tomorrow morning for Mississippi Live weather at 6:30, 7, and 7:30. But we'll also be back here tonight at 10 telling you the latest on that forecast, and of course updating you on those rain chances as this pattern starts to become closer and closer. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday evening, and we will see you back here at 10 o'clock tonight.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
You wonder how they're going to experience the real world in real safety, where all kids are welcome and everyone has a path forward to new skills, advancement, leadership, something they will carry with them the rest of their lives.